Hello, church. Hello, community. We are back with you again on this Tuesday. Encouraging word on this warm Tuesday, but we are thankful for the day the Lord has made. I was talking to Alice earlier and thinking about what I was preaching on this past Sunday. I've been going through the Gospel of Mark, and we're to chapter 15, so we're moving quickly towards the crucifixion. And a lot, of course, happens even before Jesus goes to the cross, even before he begins that slow process of dying on the cross. He suffers a lot of torture, a lot of horrific activity directed toward him in his trial leading up to the cross. But Mark is pretty brief about that. The people that were reading the Gospel of Mark originally, the original readers, they would have understood what it meant to receive a Roman scourging, which is just one of the worst types of punishment a person could endure. Usually people didn't even survive that before they made it to the cross to be crucified. And then, of course, crucifixion itself, just hard for us to imagine, but it wasn't hard for Mark's readers. But as I was thinking about that, and we were talking about these things earlier, I wanted to share from Romans 8, verses 31 and 32, and then Alice was going to make a few comments that the Lord had laid on her heart. 8:31 in the book of Romans: "What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who is against us? He who did not spare his own son, but delivered him over for us all, how will he not also with him freely give us all things?"
While you were sharing at Salem the message, and then we followed with the Lord's Supper, it was the most sobering Lord's Supper I have ever taken. I was struck by the description of the scourging, of course, and what Jesus went through for us. And, Brother Bill said yesterday in his encouraging word, the Bible tells us not to lean on our own understanding. And I never really listened to it this way, but to lean on God's understanding. We can't, while I was listening to you at the end of the message, I was thinking, we really cannot fathom the love of God. And the more we understand and experience the love of God, the more it changes us. He changes us, and he changes our heart and our life in such a beautiful way that only he can do. And I was thinking, we cannot understand God's love. But a picture, I guess, as I was listening was, think about the person who has hurt you the most. If you will, just think about that person. And I hope it brings up some feeling of anger and an uncomfortable feeling, because they have done you wrong. They've been selfish. They've only cared for themselves. They've lashed out. They've hurt you like no one else. So think about that person, and now imagine that person has just been given a life sentence and is about to be put to death. But in hopes of a relationship with your enemy, this person that brings up all these terrible feelings, now imagine the person who has always been the closest to you. You can always depend on this person. He or she understands you. You love this person with all of your heart. And now ask this person you love, your greatest love, your greatest, closest friend and companion, to take the place of your enemy. That's what Jesus did for us. As Romans 5:8 says, God demonstrates his love toward us in that while we were yet sinners, while we were the enemy of God, Jesus died for us. He gave his son to die for us. We cannot understand it. But as we seek the heart of God, we will find him and be changed by him.
As Paul says in Romans 8:31 that I read earlier, in 8:32, God, he who did not spare his own son. So God gave that which was nearest and dearest to his heart. We can't even imagine the pain and suffering that the Father experienced by giving his son. But the more we reflect on the love of God as demonstrated in the cross of Christ, the more we realize what God gave, as you rightly and accurately said, the more we will love God, and the more we will realize if God has given me his son, he's given me his all, then there's nothing he won't give me. There's nothing he won't do for me, nothing he won't provide for me in the pursuit of conforming me to the image of Christ. And so we can trust God for everything because he's given everything already
Yes.
in our behalf.
Yes.
Yes, sobering.
Sobering, but it's so encouraging.
The love of God.
Yes.
Something we'll reflect on from now and into all eternity. Well, we hope that encourages you today. And we look forward, as always, to seeing you next week.
God
bless.